Well, this first Sunday of Advent is to celebrate and talk about and discuss and pray about the second coming of Christ. What'd you think of that gospel? Fear and foreboding is coming. And we should pray each other that we make it through this, whatever is coming. But it certainly talks about hard times. Well, I took some headlines out of some of the newspapers and magazines that I read this week, and let me just read them in the spirit of what the gospel said this morning. Having less reminds us of what is important in our lives. There's perhaps over 17% unemployment in Silicon Valley. Hard times are likely to redefine our thinking. Can thinking positive really save the U.S.? It's time that we all face stark reality. No one knows where jobs are coming from, but the real human toll is the loss of health, depression, and family conflicts. Those who lose jobs may never return to their old jobs or their old standard of living. How to get by without a job, and the dangers of a weak dollar and a large deficit. Plus, there was talk of war, of course, on the front page of just about everything that I read this week. But the worst is this. Did you know that 2012 is coming? And that's from the same people that brought you Y2K, I think. Well, this is a time to think about where we are going and what's going to happen. And I was really laughing at Barbara this morning as she says, I don't know what I'm supposed to read, and this is kind of the theme of my sermon this morning is where do we go, what do we do from here, how do we get somewhere, or what is our compass that we pull out and look at and say this is the direction that we need to head. There have been a lot of research lately on a concept psychologists called resiliency. And that is the ability to, once you're knocked down or once you go through loss or once you have something happen to you that kind of kicks the slats out from under you, that what are the kind of people that are likely to get up and dust themselves off and start all over again? Well, there's some things that we learned, especially in doing a lot of research with people that need to bounce back and can pick themselves up and go on from here. And when we suffer loss, and in times like this, it's especially hard on people who have suffered great loss in their life, and this kind of seems to be one more. Or those of us who feel like that our luck has just kind of turned bad, and if we have any luck at all, it's bad. Or those of us who are really experience a difficult time financially, not knowing where to turn or where to go from here. But let me first of all, before I show you my compass, let me talk about those persons who are able to get up and get going again. First of all, they are like all of you here, and that is they stay connected. They keep in touch with each other. They congregate. They show up for stuff. They're here, and they have an idea that a lot of strength comes from being with your friends, being with those that you know love you and those who support you. The second is that they are basically optimistic, not seeing the silver lining in nearly everything, but at the same time being willing to open up to the possibility that this may be an opportunity for me. This may be a chance for me to do something different, or something that I want to do in my life that might be better. Sometimes that's pretty hard to lump and sounds a little bit flaky, but at the same time, being optimistic opens up our ideas and our options to different things if we'll allow that to happen. The third thing is that these people like to play. They like to be silly. They like to horse around. They generally have a playful attitude, and in almost any situation they can come up with something stupid to do that really kind of entertains them, and they have an inordinate ability for that. Sometimes we inherit it, sometimes we're just born with it, I guess. The next thing is that these people like to be physically fit. And they do things like walk a lot, run sometimes. They do things like going to gyms if they can, or keep themselves physically healthy as best they can. And by the way, in all my years of practice, I never saw anyone in my whole practice that ate right, got enough sleep, and exercised. It seems that those things just kind of pass us over when we're in stress, but yet those are the three things that seem the bottom line to give us the most relief and afford us the most strength. These people seem to know what's worth fighting for and what's worth letting go. What's really important. And I'm always reminded of a battle that I fought for years. Do you remember when all of our kids wore long hair? I don't know if you remember that. Anyway, it was, to some people that was a terrible, terrible thing, you know, to wear long hair. And now it's wearing pants down to here. You know, that's the defining line between goodness and evil right there. So